Hello, how are you? Welcome to our class 23 and 24, actually. We will do a double class, 23 and 24 together because of the topic again and again. I always insist in this. So this is going to be the concept that has two classes in one. So it's the whole week, or probably if you start this class on a Thursday or the end of the week, it will go all the way to the following week. So that's very easy. Okay, so we get into it. So this is it. I said before, class 23, we'll do the double class 22 and 24. We start with this one, 23 first, and at the middle of it, I'm going to jump into 24. Okay, we're going to talk about module 4. We are in module 4, very close to the end. Module 4.3, self-government, self-leadership. Okay, directing our own lives. One's life. That's what one life means. Self-government, self-leadership, self-government has to do with the verb, which is self-governance, which is the act of governing. And government is the entity where the government is placed. And self-rule is when we are the ones really taking care of our lives. So self-governance is the action of us governing. Self-government is the entity within us, okay? And our self-rule is all the rules and regulations that we use to lead and to mend our lives, okay? To orient our lives. The ability, self-government in reality, as it says there, is the ability of a person or group to exercise all necessary functions of regulations without intervention from an external authority, not a religion, not a school, not a government, not an institution, ourselves and the group selves together. Self-government, it may refer also to personal conduct, which is exactly what it is. It may refer, but it's how you conduct yourself in a society that is demanding something from you, to any formal institution, or such as, which it is, family units, okay? So it applies to it. Affinity groups, people that think alike and have the same objective, like a Rotary or Lions Club or something like that. Legal bodies, industry bodies, industry bodies, religion, and political entities of various degrees. Talking about political entities of various degrees, I'm going to share with you a clip, which is, in fact, located in Brightspace, types of formal governments. And I'm going to illustrate you into this concept of types of formal government. So I want your lexicon to be accurate. I want you to learn more about it. Even though we're talking about our own leadership, our own way of being, this is something that I would like for you guys to have a semantic logic of this. So I'm gonna prepare myself to show you this video clip, which is located in Brightspace. Every time you want to watch it, that's perfectly fine. You can find it there and do it and download it if you. This is a YouTube. All the videos that I use are licensed by YouTube, so that's it.
For thousands of years, people have been ruled by governments. These bodies of power make rules that organize society and are meant to protect it from danger. Many different forms of government have taken shape, from structures where power is concentrated in the hands of one person to those where power is shared among many. These different systems, characterized by how many people are in charge, how they are chosen, and how they rule, have massive consequences for the relationship between governments and their people. One system is democracy, where the people choose who will govern them. One of its earliest forms, dating back to ancient Greece, was direct democracy, meaning one person could cast one vote on a matter, like whether to go to war. Votes were decided by a simple majority. Governments we describe today as democracies are for the most part republics or representative democracies. In this form of government, people choose representatives who make decisions for them through elections. The democracies found around the world today can generally be sorted into three categories: presidential, parliamentary, and presidential parliamentary mixes. In presidential democracies like the United States, people vote on who should be the leader of the country, the president. And they also separately vote on who should represent them in the legislature, Congress. Sometimes, the president and the majority of the legislators in Congress belong to different political parties. Meanwhile, in parliamentary democracies like the United Kingdom, people only vote for members of their legislature, called members of parliament. If a majority of the legislators belong to a single party, or if multiple parties join together to form a ruling coalition, then they appoint one member of parliament from within their party or coalition to become prime minister, the leader of the country. And there are countries with something in between. In the case of France, the people directly elect the president and most legislators. But then the president appoints a less powerful prime minister who works with the legislature to make laws and help run the government. These governments tend to have rules on what they can and cannot do. And in healthy democracies, there is typically an independent court system and a free press. These institutions provide checks on government power and can protect the rights of citizens. Also, many democracies, including the United States, operate with a system known as federalism, where certain powers, like providing schooling and safety, are designated to local governments, limiting the national government's power. Today, nearly half of the world's countries, including many of the most powerful, are considered free and democratic. In contrast to democracy, many countries have authoritarian governments with just one person or a small group of people in charge, and few checks on their power. Authoritarian leaders might use titles like president and prime minister, but that doesn't mean they are democratic. If they hold elections, they probably aren't free, fair, or competitive, leaving ordinary people out of the political process. Authoritarian governments tend to ignore rules limiting their power, if there are any, and they often use violence and intimidation to restrict what people and the press say, so that leaders can impose the policies they want. Nevertheless, some authoritarian governments are popular with their people. They might see their government's decisive leadership style as superior to that of slow-moving democracies, and believe authoritarian governments can better promote economic growth and order at home, or expand influence abroad, even if it means sacrificing some personal liberties. Frequently, governments lie somewhere in the space between the two poles of democracy and authoritarianism. These governments may win real elections, but ignore minority rights, or they might manipulate elections, but uphold some democratic values. Regardless of the system, a country's form of government is never set in stone. Even the most repressive authoritarian systems can be toppled or transformed by people taking to the streets in revolutions, or gradually become more democratic through reforms. At the same time, strong democracies can drift toward authoritarianism, a process that is often referred to as democratic backsliding. In our global era, government leaders make decisions on today's toughest challenges, like how to address climate change, or terrorism, or a pandemic. Where your government lies on the spectrum between democracy and authoritarianism determines whether your voice and the voices of your fellow citizens are amplified or minimized on these issues.
Okay, we come back. It's a wonderful clip. It's very clear, very, very interesting. So it's one of my favorite, really, because it's so calm, so well explained, and so wonderful in many aspects. So we continue with our program today, with our class today. Let me go here. Okay, there you go. And then let's talk about theories and models of self-leadership, theoretical foundations. Okay, theories and models of self-leadership, theoretical foundations. Okay, self-leadership early definition was based on three central theories. We're gonna check some of them in these two classes together. One will be self-control, which is this one, self-leadership. Early definitions was based on three central definitions, three early definitions: self-control, social cognitive theory, and self-determination. Okay, so let's get into the first one, which is self-control. Self-control is very important. Let's define this concept, which is the basis of leadership, the capacity to manage yourself. I mean, for that matter, I mean, the most important thing is it is when you have the capacity, the power of control your emotions, or control your desires, or control what you keen to, what you prone to, and also not being devaluated by other people ordering you around. I mean, this is so strong and so important. So let's get into this. Self-control, self-management is synonymous to self-management, administration of oneself, and self-regulation, stopping things that you don't want to, and describes the iterative process of determining a desired end state, comparing that to the current state. End state, the future that you want to do, and the current state is the present that you're living at this moment. And subsequently, taking action to close the gap between this state of today and the desire. So we see here one graphic that explains this better. So here you can see the current state, okay, desire, future state, and future state. Desire, which is one thing that you want to, and the reality that you have achieved. So you have to transit from this position here, go to, transit, plan to go here, desire. You do a lot of activities and system, and using a system gap to close the gap between the desire and the real state. This is called vision gap. Okay, so this is how you rule. This is how you self-regulate, having something in the future that you want to go to, which is exactly what you're doing right now, studying a career as undergrad, a major that you want to achieve. Yeah, the future is here. The future state is the career that you have achieved. But right now you are desiring and you are doing the activities for that. And this is also self-control. And this is the gap again, where you are right now. That's point number one. And then where you want to go, that's point number two, I'm sorry. And three, how do you get there? All the things that you have to do. And this is another graph of gap analysis that I think is very important that you see. Current state, where we are now. Perform gap analysis to determine the steps needed to get to the desired state in the future, which is what you're doing at the university at this moment. So this is a gap, this is a rupture, this is something in between. And future state, where you want to be, where you want to go, who you want to be, where you want to be, how you want to be, where you want to be. I mean, many things like that. But this is so very important. So what is gap analysis? Gap analysis is something that you have to learn in this class and apply for the rest of your life, because it's going to be there forever. It is very important that you get this very clearly. Gap analysis is defined as a method of assessing, analyzing. Assessing means analyzing, viewing the differences between the actual performance and the expected performance. The actual performance, where you are right now, how you behave, okay, and the expected performance in an organization or in a person, in the company that you have created, or the person that you want to become. The term gap refers to the space between where we are, the present state, and where we want to go, the targeted state. Okay, so that, you know what gap means. I mean, it's right in the middle. Okay, so the definition of a method, a gap analysis, can also be referred to as need analysis, as something that you need to do analysis, need assessment or need gap analysis, also like that. So we have, for this, I have another clip for you, which is gap analysis, understanding how to build a bridge to cross from one side to the other. It's called gap analysis. Let me switch and do the preparations to show you this video clip. One more.
Within every kind of business, there's a space between where we are and where we want to be. This space is called a gap, and assessing or understanding how to build a bridge to cross from one side to the other is called gap analysis. Sometimes referred to as needs analysis or needs assessment, gap analysis is crucial for business growth. At its most basic, stakeholders have to identify what's missing and what's needed to get to where they want to be. Project managers and process improvement teams play a key role here, and they use gap analysis reports and gap analysis tools to identify which services and functions are missing, which are unnecessary, and which need development. In smaller businesses, gap analysis can help managers determine resource allocation. There are many gap analysis templates, like SWOT analysis, the McKinsey 7S framework, and the Nadler-Tushman model, and they all involve the same basic components. First, a current state description of the things the company wants to improve. This can be anything from number of customer calls answered to diversity in the workplace. Second, a future state outline of the ideal situation, such as an increase in fielded calls or a more inclusive office culture. Third, a gap description identifying what exactly is preventing the current state from becoming the target state. This could be the numerical difference between actual fielded calls and target fielded calls, or a lack of workplace diversity recruitment programs. And fourth, proposals for possible solutions to bridge the gap, such as hiring more employees to field calls or introducing diversity programs and resources. Gap analysis provides a foundation for business to implement changes necessary for growth and ultimately profit.
Okay, we saw that. Very, very interesting. This gap analysis is a wonderful tool for you to keep improving after this class ends, this semester ends, at the end of the career that you're pursuing, the bachelor degree that you're pursuing. This is the gap that you're gonna follow once and again and again and again. Is the best way, okay? So consider hypothetically, as an organization, you have manufactured a product A, okay? This product has reached the target audience in the market right now, okay? Product A has all the qualities to excel in the market. The right features, pricing, margin, and demand. Yet, for some reason, the product didn't perform well in the market. So why? Why is that? Okay? At a strategic level, to compare the conditions of level of your business with that of the industry standards. Okay, this is very, very important. At an operational level, to compare the current state of performance of your business with what you had desired at the very beginning. So there are two levels of comparison. Gap analysis can be performed in business levels, the strategic one and the operational one. The strategic one is to compare conditions of level of business with that of the industry standard, which is called benchmarking as it is called. And then an operational level is to compare the current state of performance of how you sell, how you send your people out there to place the product of your business with that you had desired. Maybe you need more people out there. What about personal level? Let's talk about, that's the one that really is important to us. Okay, on a strategic level, to compare the condition of knowledge and preparation with that of the business world demands, okay? And an operational level, to compare the current state of professional and curricular performance with that you desire. So at a personal level, you also have the strategic and the operation. And at this personal level, you should compare the condition of knowledge that you have and preparation that you have with that of the demand of the society that you want to work with, that you want to thrive, that you want to work with in that society. At the operational level, you personally, again, to compare the current state of your professional and curricular performance, how languages you speak, how you have all those knowledges with that you had desire at the very beginning, that you wanted to obtain. I hope you follow me. This is so medular. Here is where a gap analysis would play a crucial role in understanding where you are and what you lack to, okay? That's one, where you need to be in order to make your place secure in this planet of ours, in this society that you want to conquer at the end of your career. and they give you a tough fight to any other competitor who might be offering a similar experience that you give. So these three things are so important that you cannot just go out there and believe that you're Superman or Supergirl. I mean, that's not the way to go. You have to go through these three concepts there that you have to consider. And for this, there's one thing, gap analysis, called SWOT, that you have heard many times before, I guess. SWOT stands for strengths, okay, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Okay, when we talk about this more in detail, we said that strengths give us opportunities, but weakness give us disadvantages, which are threats. Okay, so I have for you a bright space video. Here it is, a bright space video that I'm going to share with you. This is an Starbucks, SWOT Starbucks. Let's see how this video works for you. Let me prepare this.
Okay, great. So in this lesson, our goal would be to apply the SWOT framework in practice. Shouldn't be that difficult, right? The company we'll examine is Starbucks, the well-known U.S. coffee company and coffeehouse chain. It was founded in Seattle in 1971 and operates in several countries around the world. Let's start with the company's strengths. First, almost everyone knows its brand, right? So it definitely has a strong brand recognition. Starbucks has been proclaimed the most recognized coffee brand in the world, quite an advantage regarding other companies in the industry. The firm's brand is one offering of a differentiated product to customers, which is coherent with its strategy and pricing. Clients have expressed they love the atmosphere in Starbucks coffee houses. They can use free Wi-Fi and enjoy the coffee drinking experience to the fullest. The company owns thousands of outlets around the world, and its clients can find it even when traveling overseas. That's a strong advantage, as it ensures loyal clients can remain such even overseas. And finally, Starbucks supply chain management ensures the quality of coffee served to customers is excellent. The company chooses its suppliers carefully, which improves the quality of its products and ensures clients receive a super coffee experience. This is another choice in sync with its differentiation strategy. Okay, very good. Let's take off our rosy glasses and consider some of the firm's weaknesses. One could argue Starbucks offers the same product in all countries where it operates. It does not customize it according to the different tastes of people in different geographies. For some customers, this is an issue, and they prefer competitor products tailored to their specific geographical preferences. In addition, Starbucks has a premium price policy, which is not in line with most customers' expectations. Not all countries have enough middle and high-income class individuals who can afford to pay extra for their coffee. Weakness number 3 would be the high employee turnover that the chain's coffee shops have. It is difficult to serve coffee as a premium product when the company's baristas have been on the job for only a couple of weeks. In terms of opportunities, we can say the following. Starbucks can access new countries easily. It simply has to apply its existing business model in these new geographies. Emerging markets can be a great source of growth for the company. Starbucks has also entered agreements within the entertainment industry and partnered with movie-producing companies. That can be a great opportunity for the firm, too. One of the biggest threats for Starbucks is the saturation of the American market, which is where most of its outlets are located. Consumers are increasingly invested in healthier lifestyle, and some substitute products are better positioned to capture the attention of the health-conscious clientele. Okay, we'll stop here. This is what a SWOT analysis looks like in practice. The depth of the observations included in the analysis depends on the information we have about the company. I'm sure an industry practitioner would be capable to prepare a much deeper analysis. However, the important point is you now know how to perform a SWOT analysis on your own, and you can distinguish the important questions from the rest when it comes to analyzing a company. SWOT analysis is a great tool that allows us to visualize and concentrate on some of the most important topics when analyzing a company. This will do for now. Thanks for watching.
Okay, we continue with this. This is very interesting how you have seen it. And this applies, this is a strategic presentation, but this can be applied perfectly well to our personal conduct, to our personal capacity, to our personal, how would I put it, wealth of knowledge and operational capacities and abilities. So it is important that we talk about this a lot. So let's talk about SWOT activity, personal SWOT analysis in this case. And this is it. I mean, we already seen it. I mean, we have here this concept. Let me get my pen. So we can divide this Johari window very easily. Internal is like this: helpful, harmful. External is opportunities and threats. Helpful and internal are your strengths. Harmful and internal are your weakness. Helpful and external are the opportunities that the market offers you. And harmful and external are the threats that come outside of you. Very, very interesting. So personal SWOT analysis. A personal SWOT analysis will help you find your own strengths, okay, and weaknesses, and look on what threats and opportunities are. A SWOT analysis is a commonly used tool in the world of marketing to explore the strengths and weaknesses of a product and to estimate the threats to an opportunities for the product in the market. And at the very end, a personal SWOT analysis, which is the one that we should talk here about, the personal SWOT analysis entails doing exactly the same thing as the industry or any commerce or any marketing strategies would do, albeit with a focus being on you and your career, not in a company, which is, okay? So strengths, first establish what your strengths are. And here it is. First establish what your strengths are, what you can do well, okay? Let's really focus on this. Establish what your strengths are. Those are the things that you can do very well and what will benefit you on the labor market that you will get into the future. Above all, it is important that these strengths to make you properly stand out over the crowd, which is out there, a lot of people competing against you. What can you do better than most people, and why you should employ therefore pick you up? Why would a person in human resources in any company or institution or government will pick you up? You have to. Those are the strengths that you have to have very strongly, because there are weaknesses. Yeah, then it turns out of your weaknesses in the personal SWOT analysis. Everyone has things that they're not so good at. I mean, something that you're not really thrive, you know? I mean, we all have it. And you're good at to be aware of your own. So you can bear them in mind and work with them in order to enhance those things. And hence you could also refer to those weaknesses, as they say in the industry a lot of time, points of improvement, things that you can work with. Then career opportunities, which is in SWOT, in your case, will be career opportunities. Okay, then it's time to look at the opportunities of the labor market that is out there. In this regard, you should mainly consider the opportunities you have in your career, which could help you to progress. Let's say that a vacancy arising in the company, for instance, of course, you could file a vacancy, an opening in any, because that's what you have to do at the end. Then we have threats, okay? On the other hand, you also come across threats, which is external and you know, harmful external things. So on the other hand, you also come across threats, becoming unfit for work, for example, or having a talented colleague competing with you for a particular position. Then you're in a very low, that's a threat. That guy is against you. Doing a personal SWOT analysis will give you a clearer picture of these threats, right? Thus enduring you to thoroughly prepare for the labor market. Very interesting, very thoughtful. This is something that you have to consider all of the time, because it's gonna come your way, and it is I mean, I know this for a fact. I have fought with many other people to get a position to thrive in life, and this is something that we have to do. So we enter into our next, that's the class 24, leadership and personal development. As I said before, we'll do a double class 23 and 24. And we're going to jump into another concept here, which is the second out of the three that we talked about. Okay, this is the second one. It's called social cognitive theory. Social cognitive theory. Okay, this is the capacity of the knowledge that you have to manage and handle society. Here is a personal factor, behavior, and environmental factors. These are things that we have to. Okay, personal factor in society, how you behave, and environmental factors, okay? The interaction between the person and their behavior is influenced by the thoughts of action. So behavior and personal factor is this here, okay? Then personal factor and environmental, the interaction between person and environment involves beliefs and cognitive competencies developed at ADN and modified by social influences. And then we have here interactions between behavior and between environment. So all this theory developed by sociologists has to do with the other thing on the ruling of yourself. Okay, so here it is, the triadic interaction between our thoughts, okay, behavior, and social-political environment. Okay, so here is environmental factors, social norms, access to community, influencing others, ability to change your own environment. Then behavioral factors, how you mend yourself, how you take yourself into the world, and that has to do with skills, practice, and self-efficiency. And then cognitive factors, so-called personal factors, which is knowledge, expectations, and attitude. All of the things are there for you. Our thoughts, our behavior, and social-political environment. All of these factors are there to work on everything that you do. Environmental factors have to do with coworkers, teachers, peers, people like you, socials, and family. This is an environmental factor. This is the frame that I just put there in order to show you. So this is the social part. Then we have the physical part, size of surroundings, temperature of the room, everything physical that is there to be against you or with you. And then we have the behavioral factors such as barrier, the program, protective equipment in use in agriculture, youth and adults, things like that. And then we have personal factors like belief, age, beliefs. I mean, things that you are very fond of, beliefs, age, gender, and ethnicity. Those are, all of those situations will govern will try to govern you, okay? Try to influence you, all these environmental factors, behavioral factors, and personal factors. Those are the things that you're gonna walk with in the world that you're gonna try to conquer. This social cognitive theory describes the human motivation and purposeful life. Human motivation and a life with purpose, okay? It highlights the role of internally regulated and intrinsic motivation as a driver behind self-leadership behavior, okay? So the things that really are the engine inside you to go towards the professional life has to do with intrinsic motivation. Okay, motivation is also intrinsic. Nobody can motivate you. It's an intrinsic thing, and internally regulated and intrinsic. A driver behind self-leadership behavior has to do with it. This is exactly what it is. It highlights the role of internally regulated concept. And then we have the third one, last one of the triad that we talked at the very beginning of this class, self-determination. What is self-determination? Let's talk about that. Self-determination, however, self-leadership theory is also well suited to a couple of other theories. consider the central notion of self-determination action in line with one's intrinsic needs. Okay, let me explain this. In particular, self-actualizing behavior, Maslow hierarchy needs in such. This is the famous psychologist Maslow. Abraham Maslow came up with this pyramid here, and he said that everything goes in order, and this is the pyramid. So a couple of theories that talk about it: self-determined actions, things that you have determined to do, that you have convinced yourself to do, and self-actualizing behaviors, which is Maslow hierarchy. So at the very base of the pyramid, we have the psychological concept of your life, how your mind works. Then safety concepts, love and belonging, love, people that you love, and belonging to a sector, to a family, to a group, esteem by you and others. And this is the one that is at the top. Realization, self-actualization, Maslow called it, at the very top. What you will want to become at the very end of your life, professional life, I mean, you'll not die. Okay. Furthermore, self-leadership is rooted in self-awareness in combination with self-management. See, self all the time. This is very important. So self-leadership, okay, furthermore, self-leadership is rooted in self-awareness. Rooted in self-awareness is the capacity that you feel you are aware of yourself, of your capabilities, abilities, and knowledge. Okay, so self-leadership is rooted here. The more you know about yourself, the more you are sure of yourself, the best leader you are. Okay, then this leads you to self-management. Okay, self-management, which according to Daniel Goleman, which is a person that we're going to have just now in a video, 2005, from 2 of 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. Okay, so these are the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence that I guess you have heard so many times before, which is social skills, the capacity to mingle with other people, self-regulation. This is Q for emotional intelligence. Self-regulation is the basis of all of it. How do you motivate yourself? Empathy towards others, and self-awareness, as we have said. This is the concept of emotional intelligence that you have heard so many times before. So I'm gonna let Daniel Goleman explain himself about this. Okay, so I'm gonna prepare myself to share with you this. Just one moment. Let me take this out of the way and get into the topic. Let me just take the pen out of it, and here it is.
Emotional intelligence refers to how well we handle ourselves and our relationships. There are 4 domains: self-awareness, knowing what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, which is a basis of, for example, good intuition, good decision making. Also, it's a moral compass. The second part is self-management, which means handling your distressing emotions in an effective way so that they don't cripple you, they don't get in the way of what you're doing, and yet attuning them to them when you need to so that you learn what you must. Every emotion has a function. Also, marshaling positive emotions, getting ourselves involved, enthused about what we're doing, aligning our actions with our passions. The third is empathy, knowing what someone else is feeling. And the fourth is putting that all together in skilled relationship. So that's what I mean by emotional intelligence. There are many definitions out there. The part of the brain, it turns out, that supports emotional and social intelligence is actually the last circuitry of the brain to become anatomically mature. And because of neuroplasticity, the brain shapes itself according to repeated experiences. So my argument is, hey, we should be teaching kids regularly, over time, in a systematic way, self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and social skill. And in fact, there are now enough programs, and they've been around enough in schools, that they're about to publish a huge meta-analysis looking at hundreds of schools and kids that had the program versus those that don't. And guess what? All antisocial behavior, disruption in class, violence in school, goes down 10%. Pro-social behavior, liking school, well-behaved, up 10%. Academic achievement scores up 11%. So it really pays. Executive function, which is mediated by the prefrontal lobe, both helps you manage your emotions and helps you pay attention. So as kids learn these skills, they also learn basic learning skills. I think that the fact that that was an argument was one thing that caught people's attention. Then there was a little chapter on called Managing with Heart, which argued that leaders who were sons of a bitch were actually defeating the company's own mission. And I think that made a lot of people happy because they work for people like that. I don't know, some people gave it to other people because they thought they needed help in this domain. I'm sure there's a zillion reasons why people like the book. I know IQ has been going up for 100 years as children encounter a more sophisticated cognitive environment as they grow. I don't know that we're becoming more emotionally intelligent. I like to hope we would, but I think that the number of intergroup wars going on, the intergroup hatred going on, levels of familial abuse, in other words, indicators of emotions out of control in dangerous ways, don't look that great, which is why I'm a very strong proponent of getting these social emotional learning programs in every school worldwide. You have to remember that emotional intelligence is a range of abilities: self-awareness, emotional self-management, empathy, social skills. Women tend to be better than men on average at empathy, particularly emotional empathy, sensing in the moment how the other person is feeling. And also it's at social skills, at keeping things feeling good between people and a group. Men, on the other hand, tend to be better on average at self-confidence, particularly in groups, and at managing distressing emotions. But what's very interesting is if you look at leaders who are in the top 10%, there's no difference between the men and the women on any of those variables. In other words, you have a whole human being. So I would say that on average, there probably are differences, men and women, in this domain of ability. But as people develop their skills, as people become more effective, they pick up strengths in areas that they need. I think that emotional intelligence is a universal, but it looks different in different places. Japan has a very rigid set of rules of social interaction, lots of subtleties. Americans typically blunder into the Japanese system, don't get what's going on. And, it's embarrassing, but they wouldn't recognize necessarily emotional intelligence in Japanese setting. Brazil is a very different culture. It's very outgoing, kind of like an Italian culture. And so it would look different there. But I think the fundamentals are the same.
Okay, this is it. We end up with our class 23 and 24. And I think it's a great class, many knowledges, and take it twice. I mean, this is so important. So the best of luck. See you next class.